politics in sport and why politics should not be in the NFL, Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, especially the WNBA. God, I tell you, I cannot stand politics in sports, and I'll go ahead and get to it in this video and tell you why politics needs to go, at least in the sports realm. Let's get to it. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? If you are a fan of sports like me and you truly love to watch the NFL, the NBA, and even Major League Baseball from time to time, politics in sports is a major key and indicator that truly defines how to lose ratings. Why do I say that? The WNBA, a lot of people do not support the WNBA. If you want to see an example of how politics in sports has heavily affected the sport itself, look at the WNBA. Women's basketball continues to lose money. And despite the impact that Caitlin Clark, a WNBA player that I like to watch and see, she's a talent, wonderful talent to watch and see, great human being. I hate to say it, but their ratings are tanking, and the money is not helping them is pretty much not improving and not helping their league improve and get any better. Politics in sports today, when it comes to BLM, when it comes to this movement of getting rid of racism, so on and so forth, politics in sports has taken the sports realm and targeted certain groups, people, based upon the race or the individual to pretty much silence certain people, right? So when I see the NBA talking about stopping racism, or the NFL is talking about stop racism, come together and, or end racism, right? Social justice, equality for all, whatever lame crap they come up with. I'm a big believer that these political views and perspectives are targeted towards white people. More so conservative white people, conservative people in general of America. Right? It's become a woke culture of making everyone feel inclusive, making everyone feel like, we have your back, we're on your side, right? And why do I say politics in sports is affecting the sports in general? Because at the end of the day, when it comes to sports, people are looking at athletes as entertainers, people who go out there, they put on a show, they perform, their athletic ability, their skills, so on and so forth. And they're showing off what, their God-given talents, what they were gifted with, right? And I'm grateful for that. But I'll give an example of how it was effective versus how it's not. In the early 2000s, in the 80s and 90s, when basketball was growing to its highest of heights, you didn't see or hear a lot about Charles Barkley giving a perspective and take on politics. Michael Jordan, you never heard anything political. You still don't to this day. Dirk Nowitzki, all these great athletes, Ray Allen, so on and so forth, never giving a take on what went on in the political realm. I'm not saying they didn't have their opinions, but you didn't hear about them, giving their opinions, talking about, what's going on in the NBA or even in the NFL. You didn't hear it from Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. You didn't hear, from the different people when it comes to politics in terms of, how, what's going on in the world impacts the NFL. Like, you kept that world of sports separate. And what I hate about this woke society and what I can't stand about what America's doing is you're bringing people into a light to paint them as whether you're woke or conservative, and you're causing the divide. Politics is its own realm. Politics need to focus on politics. These politicians need to stop trying to get other athletes to speak on them on their behalf so that it helps them with, you know, trying to influence, a certain audience their way. LeBron James, why don't you come out here and advocate for Kamala Harris so we can get you to, have your fans influence to go vote for Kamala Harris, right? No, Kamala Harris and LeBron James, two different realms. Keep that separate. Why? Because in the early 2000s, right, we had, like, all these issues, BLM started coming alive and coming about around 2012, 2014, all these riots. And you notice how we didn't have the BLM crap going on in this election term, right? Why do I say that? Because that was 8 years of nonsense that went on. 8 years of people rioting, breaking stuff, trying to take a stance on whatever the case may be, right? And then we started bringing in, politics. Colin Kaepernick with his stance. Colin Kaepernick doing what he was doing. And all I'm pretty much saying is I'm not saying don't have your own perspective, but I hate that people are losing ratings, losing views, just to go and stand up for somebody when there's already realms, for that, right? There's already people in certain places to make change and to cause change without these sports or these athletic, figures trying to become, sports politicians in the NBA or the NFL, right? And clearly, some of these athletes don't know what they're talking about, right? I'm not joshing them, talking bad about them. They really don't. They're lost. And they're leading other people astray, right? People are being led by not understanding what the truth is in our society, right? What I'm really getting at is we're losing ratings, not standing up for these businesses to say that, hey, it's that sports is more important than people, right? But it's sports overall with the politics involved in it. It's losing and taking away the value of it. Now it's like politics and religion. Now we're trying to mix up politics and religion, right? We're trying to mix up, or not politics and religion. We're trying to mix up politics and sports to make it seem like, these athletes should have a say in what's going on in the world around them, outside of them just voting, right? And why do we need that? Why do we need that in sports? Right? Why are we losing ratings? Why are we losing, people, in terms of their interest of this sport? Because people are giving different views on race, so on and so forth. Race, gender, equality. Like the WNBA, why don't a lot of males support the WNBA? Because it's literally a hate male machine. I don't want to support women that hate men. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather go watch CrossFit women who actually show that they love men, who actually value men. You know what I'm saying? Then to go watch, WNBA players outside of Caitlin Clark who have a hatred for men. And then politically, you're talking bad about white people. You're talking bad about the government. And then look at what happened to Brittany Griner a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I say all this to say that when it comes to politics and sports, that needs to be separate. We need to separate politics and sports. We need to make sports more competitive again. We need to bring back that it factor that made sports really stick out and stand out to be what it is. I cannot stand politics and sports. I hate it because of what it's doing to the image of the sport, right? And the image of sports is nowadays compared to yesterday. Everything yesterday was so competitive. It was competitive. You had LeBron versus Kobe. You had MJ versus Magic. You had Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson. It had meaning to it. Now it's just like we gotta make everyone feel inclusive, and we gotta support these different views alongside go out and entertain people, and we can't make people feel offended. Like, come on, man, with the truth. Reality sets in. We don't need that crap. We need to get rid of politics and sports and simply just stick to the sport itself. I miss the old NBA. I miss the old NBA, the old NFL where people were competitive, doing their thing, and you didn't worry about none of those political abuse. Sports used to be a factor that brought people together. Sports brought people together. And while it still does and still can, it also causes a divide because of political views. Right? Men of all races and ethnicities, white, black, Mexican, Indian, Asian, it didn't matter. People were brought together based on sports. Right? It didn't matter what country you were living in. People came together based upon sports. Right? Football, basketball. I remember as a young kid watching the NBA. I remember watching the Houston Rockets versus the LA Lakers in the 2004 NBA playoffs. Right? And they were show commercials of, people pretending to shoot the basketball, shoot paper balls into the trash can, doing the behind the back passes and shooting little passes, taking it, chopping up the chicken in China, and they were taking it, shooting it in a little frying pan and yelling score or whatever they would yell, right? And essentially it was like you could tell that sports in itself was a factor that brought people together, right? These political agendas nowadays with the elite, with what's going on in DC, I can't stand it. And I hate that it is causing people to divide, right? College football, basketball, they're not too heavily affected by it, but when they get to that pro level, boy, do they have to speak out. Boy, do they have to have a certain stance. And I'm not saying every athlete has a stance, right? But honestly, sports is tanking because of that. And I hate to see a world where people were brought together based on who they thought was the GOAT, who they thought were one of the greatest of all time. All of a sudden now it's just like, I don't support him because he has a certain view. Like, I'd rather not know LeBron's views and see LeBron do what he was doing in the 06-07 season when he didn't speak a whole lot about anything politically compared to now, right? I'd rather hear about, Dwayne Wade, in the 06-07 season when they were winning the NBA title with the Miami Heat compared to now. Now, granted, he was retired, but I'm just saying. Overall, all in all, what I'm saying is politics simply just needs to go away in sports. Get rid of politics in sports. Go back to playing the NBA and the NFL where people did not have these views, this woke, sorry culture that panders to people that don't respect themselves, don't respect other people and their views, and simply don't bring people together. Thank you for watching my video. Tell me what you think. If it's a comment and adverse to what I'm saying and it offends you, hey, I understand we have our own political differences or whatever in terms of sports. This is not really a conversation as far as politics. This is just saying we need to get rid of politics in sports just to make the sport what it used to be. Bring back that competitive nature. Bring back that competitive fire. Bring back the energy that sports once had. Let's make it what it was, and let's bring people back together through sports. All right? So take care. Please like, share, and subscribe to my video, my content. Thank you for watching. And let's please get rid of politics. We do not need politics in sports. Have a great one.